Glenn McGrath said 5-0, but he didn't say it in his usual confident self. So that gives you a bit of a clue as to the kind of Ashes series we may be about to witness. Charbel here from CricBlog, Australia fan. I must say, slightly nervous Australia fan. I'm really looking forward to this Ashes series. I think it has the potential to be a beauty. Alongside my co-host Nash, India fan, maybe still recovering from the World Test Championship final loss last week,
Um,
mate. How's it
don't
going?
remind me. Don't remind me. But I've moved on. I've moved on. Ashes coming up. Obviously,
Yep.
I support Australia as well
How
as
kind of you.
my
Yeah, of
as my as my adopted home.
course. Yeah, I know.
Obviously, I'll my support goes to Australia, and I'm really looking forward to what's going to be a cracking test match because everyone has got their predictions in. All the so-called experts have given us what they think about the selections and the players. It's going to be really interesting because I read somewhere today that every time Brendan McCullum played against Australia, his tactics or his style of play never worked, and it's going to be the same
We'll
this
see what
time as
happens
well.
as a coach. We'll see what happens as a
Um,
coach.
it's yeah, that's funny. But what I want to get your thoughts on today's episode is England have announced their playing 11. I
Yeah,
haven't seen anything from Australia though.
nah, no, they announced
I
it
think
really
they're
early.
keeping it. Well, my question to you is how much do you think the England bowlers how long can they survive is my question
That's a big
basically
question, isn't
because
it? Yeah,
once you get the flat pitch in, I think England bowlers have to toil really hard, I think.
that's the downside of the Bazball thing, right? That been talking about that in the lead up to this Ashes series right throughout this year. It's like when you think about this series and the way England play, the pitches that they produce is going to be fascinating because yeah, they may be able to score on them, but can they take the wickets and do it quickly enough? Um, and they've got no out and out fast bowler in that 11. Robinson, Broad,
Yeah.
Anderson, they're all your typical seam bowlers, and crucially, I believe no Jack Leach. I think that's going to be a bigger loss
Yeah.
than some people actually think because he's the kind of guy that could hold up an end. Let the other guys rotate with Moeen there. I think Australia are going to really go after him and try to put a lot of pressure on him. And that increases the workload on the fast bowlers and even Ben Stokes as well, who hasn't done a lot of bowling. So that's where a
Yeah.
significant opportunity lies for Australia and to start this series well.
I think, and you're exactly right because I was looking at that playing 11 and I was going, well, you got three fast bowlers, three genuine fast bowlers. You got one part-time spinner, if you want to call him part-time spinner. He hasn't played tests, really has retired, and one all-rounder who hasn't bowled much in the
Mm,
last few test matches that they've played, who
yep.
really has played as a batter. If there's a situation where Australia are, for example, 300 for three, will we see Ollie Robinson bowling off spin again?
Oh, that would be the best. If Ollie Robinson's bowling off spin again, then oh, happy days. But yeah, you're 100% right, man. Because like I probably look at that team and say you probably want to go with maybe another fast bowler and just give Joe Root some spin, as your spin option. If is he gonna is Moeen Ali gonna be more effective than what Joe Root would be? Maybe that's disrespectful to Moeen, but he hasn't played red ball cricket in a long time, right? And he doesn't have a great record against Australia as well. So they're the key questions for England now, and that represents the massive opportunity for Australia. England, you can produce your flat pitch and you can attack the Australian bowling, and you may have success on a flat pitch with the bat, but with the ball, it might be a different story. And remember, England have to win this series to get the earn back. So, mate, it's fascinating. It really is.
Absolutely, and that's what's going to be really fun starting tomorrow.
Yeah,
Um, Speaking of Australia, I really hope they go with Scott Boland.
yeah,
Um,
agree.
I think they should stick with the 11 that they played in the World Test Championship, and because as you rightly pointed out, there's no really out and out fast bowler in England in England lineup, and that could really come in handy for Travis Head as well, who has some trouble against the short ball that we've seen throughout his career. And
Yeah,
with that fast bowler not there, I think it can be a bit of an easy ride for Travis Head, who is in form as well.
yeah. I mean, probably when I look at that bowling attack, I agree with you. I'd go with the same 11 as the World Test Championship final to start with. And because all of the test matches are so close together, you got to rotate right as you
Yeah,
go along. The one not concerned, but the one thing I'll be looking out for is Mitchell Stark because he bled some runs in the World Test Championship final and lacked
yep,
some control at times. If that happens in this test match, you'll go for plenty. And then obviously that increases the pressure on the other bowlers. So equally as important for England is that, for Australia, they've got to be working well as a unit against this Baz ball kind of play. I told
yep.
you last week that England top three doesn't look world beating on paper, but it's the kind of series where one of them can have an absolute blinder and all of a sudden you're on the back foot if you don't bowl well. So
Look, to be
we're
honest,
going to be off on the money.
if Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett end up scoring runs, I think Australia need to do some serious thinking.
Maybe
Um,
do some serious traveling, go home,
yes,
perhaps. But
yeah, they need to come back by boat,
look, it
like the
does sound
olden times.
harsh. It does sound harsh, but yeah, look, they're not established test players, and Zach Crawley should have been dropped 10 or 15 times by now.
Exactly, Zach Crawley, definitely not an established test player.
No, and Australia, if you hit the right areas, you bowl a good enough delivery, and their techniques will be exposed enough that if you hit the 6 meter mark regularly and off stump, and you be disciplined, then you'll be fine. But I think it's the middle order that England have their strength. Your
Yeah.
Joe Root, Ben Stokes, and your mate Johnny Burstow there.
Oh, don't remind me. I was going off on WhatsApp this afternoon with you,
You were,
but
mate. You were.
Um, I'll repeat what I said. Basically, if I can't wait to see Pat Cummins take Johnny Bairstow's off stump. Um,
But that's the
yeah, I
thing. I'm
think
not so sure. We all said we can't wait for Jasprit Bumrah to do it, right? And then England chased that total down against India
that was
last year.
one test match.
No,
He
but
basically did it in 2021.
yeah, I know that. But Bester had a great year last year, and England, as I said, they're
Yeah,
going to play with a lot of freedom, and yeah. And if the pitches, as I said before, are good for batting, then it's not a given that the off
yeah.
stump would be ripped out. You can play on the up potentially. So yeah,
And this is the real test. Like this is the real test. Um, but I do have that 5% skepticism in me somewhere. I do have that sort of will they, won't they kind of thing when it comes to this Australian bowling attack as well, because
yeah,
I think they have to straight away hit the mark right from the first test, because as we have seen, for example, if you talk about the India tour a couple of years ago, um where all the three fast bowlers played basically all the test matches, and by test 4 they were really down and out, and the same could happen this series as well. So I think they have to really hit the mark from the get-go in the first couple of test matches, and then start rotating the
yeah.
fast bowlers, and hopefully Hazelwood becomes available as well. So that could be really good for Australia if they could rotate Stark, Hazelwood,
Mm.
Boland, and even perhaps Cummins if it gets too much. I know he's the captain, but there's no harm
Oh
in
yeah, I
resting
think
Cummins
Cummins
for one of the
Cummins
test
could
matches.
miss a game or two if need be, and Smith can
Yep.
take the reins. You got
Yep.
Nisa there, and I think Hazelwood is fit at the moment, so I think he's in the equation for the first
Yep.
test. But see which way they go. That's why
And,
I've
and
got
that's what I
yeah.
sorry, that's what I worry about, because that's where they could lose out as well if they become too tired by the, let's say, third test or fourth test. Then that could really be the
Yeah,
downfall of Australia.
and it's the same with England, man. It's the same with England.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Broad and Anderson are not getting any younger, and Robinson might start bowling off spin. And then there's Mark Wood who, look is a terrific bowler, but he won't play more than 2 or 3 tests with his injury problems. Then I think they've got like Josh Tongue there, who's still very
Yep.
inexperienced. So Yeah, I mean, that's the thing for Australia is keep England in the field as long as you can, especially in the first test or two. So, England, they're not going to try bat long. I don't think
Yeah,
they're there for a good time, not a long time. Australia, with Steve Smith,
that's a good one.
they are there for a
I've
good time, not a
yeah,
long time, mate. It's
yeah.
yeah, that's the Bazball spirit. And but for Australia, Steve Smith on a flat pitch, I could watch him play all day. So yeah, grind the England bowlers down into the ground because they've got to win this series, and that's going to be the key for the Aussies. It doesn't mean don't be positive, but yeah, really be relentless as you can be with the bat.
Yep. I'm predicting a big series for Marnus as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Marnus, Cam Green, Alex Carey, I think could be the real X factors in that squad,
yep,
in that playing 11, and I think they could be the point of difference between the two teams.
100%. And we talk about the England middle order. That's a strength of theirs, but the Australian one is very good too. Particularly if Cam Green can find the right tempo and he finds the sweet spot in terms of the batting. Because I was saying the other day with Cam Green, he's got a good test record now, but he's still a work in progress because,
Yep.
there's times he goes at everything and throws his bat outside the off stump and will try to score quickly. And then there's other times he'll strike at 20 and 30. So there's no real in between at the moment for him. So,
Yep.
yeah, but that'll come. He's a class player. And Alex Carey, I thought he was fantastic in the final. I think England's probably lack of spin might actually help him. No reverse sweeps.
Yep.
And Travis Head, man, I can't wait to watch him play as well. So that's a middle order that can really take the game away from England, especially if, hopefully, the openers can provide a bit of a platform. That's a bit of a worry for mine. And then also Smith and Marnus setting up the innings, and the other guys can just play off the back of it.
And look, I think from an England point of view, if what could work in Australia's favor, if Australia make the early inroads,
Mm.
and put England on the back foot, I don't think they have the plan B, to sort of think of a way out.
Yeah,
They are, at least from the outside, as a cricket fan, it looks like they are putting all their eggs in one basket at the moment. It's either this or just lose. Um, and
mm.
we've seen through so many comments from Ben Stokes and different players from England as well as how they think. It's fine. It's working for them. I can't think of a test match where they have been really put on the back foot in the last 12 months. Like they've been really, let's say, 50 for 5, or
Yeah,
the other team has scored like 500 for 4 or something like that. I can't really think of a
yeah. I
test match
think
like
the
that.
one
And
test that comes to mind was the first one in New Zealand. Was the second test in New Zealand earlier this year. There were three down for not many, and Harry Brook hit a very quick 100.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then they played that style and they continued with it. So that may have been the second test of that series, that thrilling
Yeah.
test match where
Yeah,
they got
but
New
I
Zealand
think, but
following
that's
on.
it. Like you have to
Yeah.
really think hard for in the last 12 months, and that's why I've said that it's worked for them so far. And
Yep.
I don't know when they're put on the back foot, and we could very well see that happening against Australia this time. So it's going to be really fun to see what happens with how they tackle Nathan Lyon, or how even Nathan Lyon tackles their strategy as well. So it's going to be really fun.
I thought we'd give our predictions at the end of the show, but one prediction I do have, I'll share it now, is Nathan Lyon for the top wicket taker. Because when you
Oof.
there's a few
Ooh.
reasons why I say that. Um, One is we talked about it earlier. I think a lot of fast bowlers are going to be rotated. So I don't think any of the fast bowlers in either side will play all five. And then I think they're going to really go after Lyon, England. So that's going to present him with wicket taking opportunities. Conditions have been
That could be a good
relatively
shout.
conditions have been relatively dry in the UK, and also the pitches are probably going to be devoid of much grass, so they might turn later in the game. And Lyon
Well,
has the
there's a
box
heat
for
wave.
strength.
There's a 30 degree Celsius
Yeah,
heat wave, isn't there?
yeah, exactly. There's the 30 degrees. Wow, how hot. It's spring here in Australia. But but that's what I'm saying. It could, aid spin later in the test match. And yeah, England are going to go after him, and that can present those wicket taking opportunities for Nathan Lyon. He's going to be crucial when we talk about earlier. The fast bowlers getting tired. Nathan Lyon has a role to play in
Yep.
drying some runs up and getting some overs in at the other end, so the other bowlers aren't overworked. So
Yep. Yep.
fascinating.
Absolutely.
Harry Brooks said the faster the Aussies bowl, the faster it will go to the boundary. So he's confident. He's confident. We'll see.
Ambitious. Yep.
They are
Ambitious.
ambitious. That's the way they play, mate, and that's what's going to make for an absolutely fascinating series. Can't wait. Can't wait for it to start. Another question I had was for England was the top three. I had it. The spinner issue. We've gone through that. Were there any other concerns you think that England have that Australia could potentially exploit, or the other way around? One thing we could say about Australia, for example, is the opening combination. We know Warner in England and Khawaja hasn't yet fired in the country when it comes to Test match batting. What do you reckon?
I think that could trouble Australia, and that has troubled Australia.
Hmm.
Stating the obvious, but I I think they have got enough firepower in the middle order to cover that for now. I think Smith is worth 10 men, to be honest,
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
And you add Marnus to that, and if you look at Cam Green and Alex Carey, who may
Travis Head as
come
well.
in
Yeah.
in oh yes, sorry, I forgot Travis
Yeah.
said, who may come into their own in this
Mm.
series. It's going to be really interesting to see how they look after the openers. And I think Kawaja will do well. He has that
Yeah.
sort of mental toughness about
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
I
I've got
think
I've
we
got
could
high hopes for
this.
him. Yeah.
Yep, I think this could be the last of David Warner that we see in Test matches at all. I don't think he'll survive till the Australian summer, to be honest. But
I
again,
think
I've,
whatever
I've been
happens
wrong before.
here, the selectors will give him the games at home to
Yep.
go out on a high. Because he did say the Pakistan test in Sydney in the new year will definitely be his last. So
Yep.
for what he's done, they'll give him that chance. But yeah, I'm worried about David Warner in this series, no question.
Yep.
No question about it. Um,
Yep.
Mate, it promises to be an absolute ripper of a series where there's so many key storylines. I think it can. I know gets thrown around a lot, these big statements, but when people say this could be the best series, this could be the best series, and all that. 2019, we had a taste of what the Ashes could be. That was a
Look, I
magnificent
think
series. This one
I
could
think
top it.
let's be honest. As a cricket fan, I've been on this planet for 29 years now, almost 30. I've been following cricket since I was 6, 7, since 2000, 2000. I've seen highlights of the previous ones before I was born or whatever, but since I've been watching cricket, I think it's harsh as an Australian fan, but I think the 2005 Ashes beats pretty much every Ashes
Oh yeah,
that I've
that's
watched.
that's my that's the favorite. That's my favorite series, and we lost it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
So and 2019 was up there, definitely. I won't lie, but that 2005,
Oh
if
yeah,
you tell me to shut my eyes and play that Simon Jones bowl to Michael Clark, I can recognize that from anywhere.
yeah,
That
yeah,
that
yeah.
that that sound, that commentary, and that crowd noise. I think yeah, it
Yes,
just
that's an
goosebumps, goosebumps.
iconic moment in cricketing history. But I agree with you that
Absolutely.
2005. This one could be the best series since then. It has the makings for it.
Well,
You've
Australia
got
haven't won since 2001 on England
correct.
soil.
Haven't won since 2001. It's the brash, brave style of England against the efficient,
Yep.
you know, patient
World
Australia,
Test
typically
champions
world test
against the World
champs
Test champions.
against the world test champions. So yeah, man, like it's going to be fascinating, and I agree with you. Like it's great, for banter and great that we smash England at home. But when you get a great Ashes series, and I think Test cricket really needs it.
Yep.
Yeah, we talk about what's going on in the world of cricket at the moment, and franchise taking over, and what that means for the future of Test cricket. If we have a great series here, everyone gets talking about it. It's only good for the game. So
Yep.
yeah, really looking
I'm
forward
I'm
to that.
going I'm going for an Australia win 3-2.
Okay, so you've jumped the gun there.
3-2
So in
or
terms of
3-2
predictions,
or 2-1.
okay, we'll start with the series result then, and then maybe we'll look at leading run
Yep.
scorers and leading wicket takers. Yep. So you go on 3-2 Australia.
Yep.
Okay. I think there'll be.
If rain doesn't play spoil sport.
Yeah, I have a feeling Rain will play a sport somewhere. It's England. I'll go 2-2. I can't split them. I've got splinters in my ass because of because of the fence. Just sitting on it. But yeah, look, I think it's just one where both sides have their strengths, but they both have their flaws as well. And England are at home. Australia haven't won in 20 odd years, and this is probably the as good as England are playing in a number of years in Test cricket. So 2-2, I think. I think it's that kind of series where it's going to ebb and flow.
Right, highest runs.
Smith, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same.
Hopefully I haven't jinxed him. Hopefully I haven't jinxed him. But I did say Australia would win the World Test Championship final, and they did. So maybe the jinx is cursed. Maybe the jinx is it. Maybe I've jinxed the jinx. Maybe I've jinxed the jinx.
That's deep.
And as I mentioned before, Nathan Lyon to get the leading wicket taker. What's your pick?
I'll go Pat Cummins for the highest wickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Smith for the runs.
I hope Pat Cummins bowls well because I hope he's not weighed down by the captaincy. And I hope that doesn't go into his bowling. That's another thing I forgot to mention. But I hope he's the leading wicket taker because that means Australia would have done very well, I think. Because he'd be ripping through the England lineup, and that's what we need him to do.
Absolutely.
So that's our preview of the Ashes series and a look a little bit more deeply into the Edgbaston Test kicking off Friday. Cannot wait for it to begin. It should be an absolutely cracking series. I find it hard to split the two teams for different reasons. They both got their strengths and their weaknesses. Nash has a close win to Australia. I think it'll be, if there's a series winner, could be one test either way. It has the makings of an absolute cracker. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Nash.
We'll be doing this after each test, Shabir?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We'll be reviewing each test. And keep an eye out for Spotify and YouTube as well. CricBlog TV YouTube channel for any content we do throughout the test match as well. So anything we do there, keep an eye out for it. Thanks, Nash.
So much.
Thank you all to the viewers and the listeners, and enjoy the Ashes.